Hi everyone, my name is Angelia and I'm the Sales and Support Lead for Appraiser Genie, and I will be host of the webinar today demonstrated with ACI software. I try to give everyone a couple of minutes to join the room. I understand it's Friday and of course there's a holiday coming up, so I waited a couple of minutes after. But we'll go ahead and get started. No worries if you guys join the webinar late or you can't stay for the duration. I will post the completed webinar online at www.appraisergenie.com. Click on the training tab. You can view this webinar later tonight, usually posted on our website a couple hours later. Okay, now if you guys are not able to hear me, you can call in. There's a link in the email. You just dial the phone number. Otherwise, you'll have to have an external mic. Has anyone else had issues trying to get in? All right. Okay. Now we're going to go and get started. I'm going to explain a little bit about the setup. Appraiser Genie is cloud-based. Therefore, we don't use any software on your computer. All you'll do is launch Appraiser Genie from ACI to get started, and I will explain that in a moment. Now what you see here is the Appraiser Genie MLS setup. This does have to be completed before you can use Genie. It's free to you, doesn't cost you anything. All it is a list of fields that we need from your MLS in a certain order in order for Genie to be able to read the file. So what you'll see down here is an email and phone. Both of these are contact numbers you can call our MLS team at, and they will be able to give you more information on the MLS setup. Sorry guys, I have a couple of questions coming in from people trying to join the room still, so just hang tight 1 second. Now, real quick, just to clarify, I will be the presenter of the webinar, and it will be posted online later, so I do mute everyone just during the demo because it's a lot quicker to get through it, but I will hold a Q&A session towards the end, so if you guys stick around and have any questions, I'll make sure to answer anything you need. Alright, so after the MLS process is set up, then that's the only requirement. You actually can use Genie immediately. For ACI, the way you actually purchase uses, I'm going to show you guys. You'll just go to your web browser, go to appraisergenie.com. You're going to see a purchase tab located up here. And when you click on it, you're going to have different choices. You can pay per report, 10-pack, or monthly. If you're a brand new user and you've never used Genie, I don't recommend you do that. I recommend you click on this blue hyperlink here. It'll let you sign up for 10 free rather than purchasing. So all you'll do is click on here. It's going to take you to a registration page. You'll fill that information out. Make sure you change this to ACI and click register, and that will get you to 10 free. Now there's a few things you'll have to do to actually access Appraiser Genie. With ACI there's a small file. It's called a setup.exe, and all it is the installation itself. And it's a link. So once you're at the point that your MLS has already been set up, just give us a call. We'll send you the link, and we can actually walk you through the software one-on-one, or you can proceed to use it yourself. You guys can refer back to these videos that we update every Friday as long as there's enough registrants, and then you can go to our website and watch the recorded version. Okay, so I already have a report open with ACI. You'll see it's pretty bare. All I have filled in on the left-hand side is the subject information here. You'll want this information entered as accurately as possible because we use this information. We upload this into Appraiser Genie, and then of course buildingcost.net, which is cost approach, that's automatically completed, and they send us a takeoff for the total replacement cost based off this subject information. So generally when appraisers use the software, ideally they'll have the subject inspected. If you don't, it's okay, meaning let's say you don't know the age or the site, you can leave it blank, but at that point you're relying on public records, which we will pull for you. But if they do not return anything, you're going to have to enter that anyway. So that's just kind of a tip. You can do it however you want. You can rely on Genie to pull public and fill out the rest, or you can have this already entered into the report as I have it. Now you'll notice pretty much everything is empty. Of course you'll want the address, city, state, zip, county. You have to have that in there. Even if the report's empty, we need that to verify public records, so make sure that's in there. Most of this I just left it blank other than what I knew about the subject, being the design, year built, course stories, type, just general information that we would use. I populate it in the report. And I leave the 1004 MC blank because we will complete that. And I leave cost approach empty because we will complete that as well. So I will show you once we're through and we export this back to ACI what it looks like briefly. And I will show you where we put all of the support documentation for everything you do. So if you're not familiar with Genie, I will explain it pretty thoroughly within the amount of time we have. And as stated, we offer demos, user manuals, training, everything you need to get going. Okay, so once we have the report open, the only other step I don't show during the webinar because it's so different is the MLS export. So what I did is I just logged into Intrace, which is going to be the North Texas MLS. Okay, so all I did was logged in, and I just created a search. I did a 1 mile radius around the subject address, which is this, and I went back at least 365 days for the salts. The only other thing I did was make sure I indicated it was single family, and I think I did a price range. So below here, this file is already saved in my computer, so all I did was I saved this search and I saved it to my computer. And you're going to notice there's headers here. They're in a certain order. So these headers are in the order that we need them in so Genie can read the file. And this is what we mean when we say we create a custom export. Alright, so there's only about 66 comps in here, which is pretty accurate. I didn't do a crazy radius. I just did 1 mile. I tried to find pretty decent comparables. There may be some in here that are outliers, but Genie will take care of that for me. So the whole idea is log into your MLS, just create the search. All you do is save it to your computer. And if you're wondering how to do that, it's not a problem. We can show you guys how to. It's just really hard to display that when it's so different depending on which MLS you use. Now, if you use RailTrax, North Star, HAR, those are all exports. That means there's not a setup required. You can actually start using the Genie immediately. So if you guys do use one of those, you can just email mls@appraisergenie.com and we'll get you going. Alright, so what we want to do, since we already have it saved and we already have the report open that we want to use, we're going to go ahead and launch Genie from ACI, and I'll show you how to do that. Now towards the top here you have e-services. When you click on this, you're going to see import analysis data and you're going to go to Appraiser Genie. So you're just going to click on that. You're going to have a pop-up box. We're just going to ignore that. It should move around on its own. Okay, this pop-up box here, we want to ignore it. We don't want to do anything with this. If you accidentally click cancel, you will completely kill the whole process. So don't do anything with this. You can move this box around, but you can't move ACI. It does freeze temporarily in the background. And what you'll have is a little window that opens automatically depending on which your default browser is. You'll notice Chrome down here is open. This is my default, which is what we recommend. We do not recommend Internet Explorer, Firefox. They just don't support a lot of the newer code. So you're going to be taken here to a sign-in page. You guys won't have a sign-in unless you've used Genie in the past. If you have and you don't know your login information, you can give us a call and we'll help you. But for new users, you're going to click on registration. When you click on registration, it just signs you up. You'll just enter your email, password, your address, click save. It's going to take you here. So once you decide on your email and password, get everything going, you'll see this here. You're just going to enter it. And we're going to click Remember Me, so I don't have to keep typing it in, and click Submit. Alright, so it's going to load. Now anytime you see the circle up top, we want to just let it load. Don't get click happy. You definitely can interrupt the process, so just refer back up here if you don't see Genie doing anything. Okay, so you'll notice that you're taken to Genie on its own. You just sign in, and what you see here, the blue tab towards the top, is going to be your default page. This is called Input. Input is basically your home page. It's what you'll see immediately every time you launch Genie. Now, there are defaults that you can set up for each report. It's located in a different tab. You're going to see a forward and backward arrow that lets you navigate the Genie. This is how you move around tab to tab. What we want to do is go to our defaults real quick. So we're just going to click this arrow all the way towards the end. You're going to see a default tab, and we're going to click on this. Once again, that's loading. Now this should move a little faster when you guys are using GoToMeeting with me, or if you're remoted in and we're helping you out through TeamViewer, it does slow it down just a bit. Okay, so once I clicked on defaults, you're going to see multiple different tabs here. These are different defaults you can set up to the report. If you want graphs, if you want to change the password, comments, if you click on comments, there are different comments we'll put in the report for you. It tells you where they're located. And anything that's already in here, they're default, but you can modify these. You can erase them, you can add to them, you can extend them, whatever you want to do. There's a little quick pick menu in each section, so if you want more information pulled from the report to the report from Genie, you can click on it. So for example, on this cost approach, you can hover over quick pick. Let's just say you want something for the comp, you want the listings in the report. If you click that, it's going to put it in brackets, and we're going to pull the listings quantity for every report. So anything in the brackets is data we pull for you, and you just type out the sentence like so, and then when you're ready to pull information, you just click on Quick Pick and then finish it out. Defaults, there's quite a few defaults in here. Make sure you have ACI set as the software. The appraiser information, most of this populates for you when you register. Except this down here, a couple of things. You'll want to enter that in here. Anything with an asterisk, you have to put something in the box. Now, these are all optional too as far as adjustments, concessions, age variance, site size variance. There are blue question marks if you're not sure what to do. You click on the blue question mark, it will explain it further. For example, concessions, I put 3 here, which I'm indicating to Genie as the maximum custom percentage. Anything over 3% reported for concessions, Genie will give you a concession adjustment for. If you're not sure, or maybe your MLS doesn't report concessions, you can put a 0 there, and then anything reported for concessions will be adjusted. This is totally dependent on your MLS and whether or not they give us this information. Age variance, I have a 5 here, so I'm just telling Genie not to provide an age adjustment if the comps are within 5 years newer, or 5 years age, so yes, newer or older. So that will skip that. Genie will, anything over the 5 years difference, we will give an age adjustment for. Same thing with site size variance. I have a percentage here of 30. Genie's telling me to put a percentage. The first 30% comps that are within my subject site, we won't adjust for. Anything over the 30% range, we will. These usually are kept as is. Subject previous sales years prior, 3 and 1, that is for comp. Minimum square foot to adjust, whatever number I put here, Genie will not provide a GLA adjustment. So the first 100 square foot GLA, we won't adjust. Anything over the 100 square feet, we do. Rounding, when Genie provides you adjustments, you can tell Genie to round to the next 100, 500, or 1,000. Comp export sort order, when you pick the comps for the report and Genie exports them back to the grid, how do you want them ordered? Do you want them ordered by close date, contract date? Which ordering would you prefer? Most people put close date. Anything with a checkbox means we can do this for you if you want Genie to provide you with an effective age adjustment for the subject. If you want us to provide reconciled value or any of these adjustments, you leave them checked. If you'd prefer to do it on your own once you're in the report, you can deselect them. This here is default, National Association of Home Builders. This percentage is the national average of costs for constructing a home. This goes towards GLA, which is rounded to 62%. So out of 100% being total replacement costs, we will contribute 61.7% to GLA. You can use this question mark if you want more information. You can go to their website, but you cannot change this number. Automatically updated for you. Okay, so you have MLS acronym here. Based on the MLS you use, you will need to enter the acronym. If you use North Texas, which is InTrace, you'll type in InTrace. If you use Austin, which is ABOR, Austin Board of Realtors, you'll type it that way. Whichever your MLS acronym is, you'll enter it here. Now it does have to match what we have on file, so if you're not sure what to put in this box, just give our support line or sales line a call and we can tell you what to put there. Now there's up to 8 different boxes, so if you are an appraiser who uses more than one MLS, you just list them out here. Okay, the following fields, whatever you see here, such as verification source, rights, location, view, whatever is displayed in these boxes here, that is what's transported back to the ACI grid. So for example, in functional utility, it's going to say DP installation for all the comps you picked. Energy efficiency will say standard. And porch and patio actually displays CP/CP, but I actually just deleted what I saw in the box. And the reason being is most MLSs don't actually indicate if the comp has a porch or patio. So if you were to leave something here, such as this, it's going to show up in the report for every comp, whether we can verify it or not. So I just leave it blank so I can correct it later. Blank row 1, blank row 2, blank row 3, whatever you have set in these defaults here. I'm going to show you guys an ACI. Down here where you see I have fireplace, a blank, and pool. Let me go back to Genie. You'll notice in blank row 1A I have fireplace, 2A I have blank, and 3A I have pool. So instead of typing out the subject's fireplace or the comp's fireplace, I'm just going to tell Genie, hey, if the comp has fireplace, pull it for me, and go down here in ACI and put it in blank row 1. So all my fireplace counts will be straight across, and blank row 3 pool will be straight across. I do put that in a specific order because Genie will put the adjustment, if there is one, for fireplace in blank row 1 and pool in blank row 3. Now if you're not sure what to do in each box, I just leave the middle row blank. That way I can go back later and put something in there, but there is a drop down. If it's in the drop down, you can click on it and we'll pull it if the MLS gives it to us. If none of these fit which you would normally put there, you can just leave it blank. And you can put up to 3 different things in each blank row, which I don't generally recommend. I would recommend 2, no more. No more than 2, just because ACI will cut it off at some point. Public record verification, when you're picking the comps for the report, you can tell Genie what source to use automatically when you're verifying site, age, stories, whatever the criteria is. If you're not sure what to use, meaning maybe public's not the best in your area, but you can't rely on MLS either, you can leave it on Ask Me, and if there is a discrepancy between what the 3 sources report, you'll have a pop-up, and it will display each value based on what they reported. Peer is only if they use Appraiser Genie specifically. If the comps are ran through Genie, we report a running average of what was used for site, age, etc. for that comp, and it's only a running average. I generally leave this on Ask Me just because it's hit and miss, so that's what I recommend, but you can put whatever you like there. Column order, once again when you're picking the comps for the report, you're going to see all of this information displayed for each comp, meaning you're going to have a page that's going to let you scroll back and forth when you're looking at the criteria, determining what you want to use for the report. What you can do is, instead of just kind of having to scroll back and forth, you can reorder these columns here and how you want to see it displayed. So I have site, followed by age, followed by GLA, year built, sales price, and then towards the bottom of the page, most of this I don't care for, so I just leave it down here. And everything I do want to display immediately, I just move towards the top. So you'll see you just click up and down and it moves it around. Now this may make sense later when you see it, so if you're not sure what I mean here, I'll refer back to it. Okay, so I scrolled all the way down. Made a few changes. What I need to do now is scroll back to the top and I want to click Save. So once again, Genie's loading, and I don't go through every single tab in detail just because we do that with the one-on-one demo, plus we have a separate video for defaults that you guys can refer to, but they're pretty self-explanatory. So while that saves, narrator, I will touch on that. That's not fully functional for ACI yet, but I will give you guys an idea as to what that will look like for you. Okay, so it's going to be about a 3-page addendum, and it's going to list the property appraised, of course, the rights appraised, highest and best use, extraordinary assumption, if you want subject comments, contract, neighborhood, any kind of marketing timer trends. All of this will automatically be put in the report for you based on the adjustments you make in Genie, any kind of condition or quality rating. Of course, these are verified with UAD, FAQs, and there's some weighting down here based on the comps I picked in the report. And this will be an example of the narrator addendum that we will start putting in the work file for you guys, including any previous sales history. It's pretty cool. A lot of people seem to be excited. It's just not functional yet, but I'll make sure that everyone's sent an email when it is. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started on the report, and just like we did earlier, we want to use the forward and backward arrow to navigate. So we're going to click all the way to the front, and we're going to go back to the input tab. So it's going to take us back to where we were, and you'll do the same thing next time. If you need to change your defaults, just arrow all the way over, click on defaults, save them, and then come back to input. Alright, so what you're going to see across the top here is the subject address. This is transferred from the ACI report. If you don't have the parcel number or legal in the report, we will pull that for you from public records and put it in the report. And the way you start this is you just fill out this page, top going down. The first thing we want to do is enter the effective date of the report, click the down arrow, and we're just going to go with today. Next, there's a list of forms. If you scroll up and down, these are the forms that Genie supports. There's quite a few. And if you're just looking for the 1004 UAD single family, it's going to be the top one here. Now, cost approach is optional. It does have to run. But if the lender doesn't require it in the report, you can change it to no or leave it on yes. I recommend leaving it on yes. I mean, it's no hurt if it does actually calculate it. We will still give you a PDF and break it down for you, but that's up to you. Okay, to the right, you have the REO addendum, quantitative REO addendum, listing addendum, FHA, VA. The FHA and VA will relate back to the narrator addendum. Depending on what type of report you're running, you're going to want to click one of these, so the narrator addendum will change based on if it's a FHA or a VA. Right now they're not functional at this point, but that should be pretty soon. These are also optional. If you need them in the report, you just check the box. The listing addendum, if you don't want the actives and the sold grid, you just check this, and we'll put the actives on their own addendum, and towards the bottom of the report it will just say listing addendum. Now what I want to do here is, as stated previously, I had logged into my MLS. I just did a 1-mile radius around the subject. I defined a list range, a sales price range, excuse me, and I defined that it should be single family, detached, and I went back at least 1 year for solds and actives. So I want to further narrow that down here based on the left-hand side. This is against the subject. I want to kind of fine-tune that search and narrow it down. Once I narrow it down, the comps that remain as far as the sold and actives, that's going to be the 1004MC. So the whole point here is to just narrow it. That way when you're picking through the comps, choosing the ones you want to use for the report, you'll have the best comps displayed. I have a 40 here, so I'm just telling Genie take my subject, and I want to only return comps that are within 40% of my subject site size, plus or minus. If the comp's not within 40%, it'll stay in the neighborhood search, but it will not show up when I'm trying to pick them for the report or in the 1004MC. Anything with a 0 just says I don't want to narrow that by particular. Maybe you don't care about stories, age, GLA, whatever the case is, just leave a 0 there. Genie will not narrow it by any of these criteria, only this one here with the 40. Now all of this criteria depends on what the MLS has listed in this file. The file I downloaded to my computer earlier, that's what Genie's going to read and narrow down based on. So if you know your MLS isn't the greatest at entering accurate information, maybe for basement or bedroom or bath, I would leave those as 0 and go with what you know is accurate, like GLA maybe, age, site size, because you don't want to narrow it too far because you can definitely kick out too many. So I'm going to start with just a 40 here. Reconciliation weighting, that's just the use map requirement between cost, sales, and income approach. If you want to put the full weight on sales comparison, you'll put a 10 here and leave the rest blank. Or you can divide this up based on how you want to see it, just has to add up to 10. So I'm going to put a 10 here and blank that out. Underneath you have highest and best use. The top use is current, which is residential. Below is possible, also residential. Now multifamily displays by default, but if you cannot use the property as multifamily, definitely click the down arrow, click the blank space, gets rid of it. Land comp sales is totally optional. These green boxes here, if you have raw land sales that need to be reconciled, you'll just type in the address, sales price, all the criteria here, so we can consider that when we derive the land value. If you don't have raw land sales, you simply skip this and leave as it is. Square foot method works the same way. You can enter your own information in the green boxes. What you see here already entered is what buildingcost.net will use automatically for cost approach, so you can skip this bottom section. If you do use Marshall and Swift, you can transfer their information here, but you would do that manually. So I'm going to skip both of those, and you'll notice I've reached the bottom, so I'm going to scroll back up now. I just go all the way to the top, and I want to start uploading the MLS file as saved from my computer earlier, so we're going to click Browse. And I already know where that's located, so I'm just going to double click it. This is the same file that I have open down here. So I'm just going to double click that. You're going to notice a green drop down box pops up, and Genie wants to know what MLS that file belongs to. So since I had my acronym already set in the defaults to ntrace, I just click the cell, it's going to populate this, click on it, and that tells Genie, hey, for this file here, it needs to go to the ntrace MLS. That's all that is. You could actually upload more than one file. If I double click this one, you'll see it's populated underneath, and I can go back and click ntrace. So if you need to combine files, maybe you have to do 2 separate searches, or you use more than one MLS, you could actually use 2 different MLSs and upload them at the same time. Just make sure you have the right acronym set. So I don't need this one. I'm going to click the X. And now that I have this displayed, all I'm going to do now is click Start New Report. Okay, so once I click Start New Report, you're going to see this little load screen. We do verify every address that's in the MLS file with the Postal Service. That can take a few seconds, depends on how many comps you have in the report. We also scrub it, make sure we kick out anything UAD, or excuse me, anything not UAD compliant. Maybe the realtor mistyped GLA or whatnot. We kick that out for you. Now you're going to be taken to this pop-up box automatically. All this is the subject information. So in ACI, you can click on it, can't move it except this. All of this information right here, which is transferred into the Genie, and what we do is we just display it so you can make sure it's correct. Driveway, I'll change that to 1. Everything else looks great. And click Next. Now since we use site size to narrow it down, I believe I put 40%. This pop-up box you guys won't see, that's just used internally. But you will see this. The blue tab tells you where you are. You're on the Comp Search tab. And this counter here tells you how many comps you have displayed. You have 42 sold, 3 pending, 4 active, for a total of 49. And I think I started with about 80. Let's scroll down just to see how many's in here. 66, excuse me. So because I narrowed it by site 40%, we went from 66 to 49. So that's how that works. I wanted to further narrow it down, get comps that are much better as far as site range that I need. You can do it by age, GLA, whatever criteria that will help you. This is ordered for you, top going down. starting with closest proximity to the subject, then most recently sold, and least adjusted. By no means do you have to use the default ordering. You're going to use this horizontal bar at the bottom, and you'll notice there's quite a few different fields. So as stated in your defaults, the column ordering, you can change these around. That way you don't have to scroll back and forth to find what you're looking for. And you'll notice my sort orders here: site first, age, GLA, year built, etc. Now you can click on these column headers if you want to order it lowest to highest, or vice versa. Let's say I want to reorder age. If you click on age, it's going to load. Now it's going to go smallest, and then we'll click on it again, and it should go older to newer. Alright, so you scroll down, scroll back up and forth, you'll see the age listed here. Now, since ACI does freeze, you should be able to move that. If you leave it on page 2, when you launch Genie, you should see the subject info. But if you don't, let's say you're on the subject page to page 1 and you launch it, it's going to leave you on that page. So I purposely switch it to here, then I launch it so I can see this. But if you don't, all you do is click on subject, and it just shows you the subject information again, and sometimes you'll have to put that change back in there. Click next. And that's just a reference in case you're not sure what your subject info was if you don't have ACI open the correct way. Now if you do click on these column headers and you reorder it, you can click this button here, Reset Sort Order, and it's going to change the age back in the order it was before I clicked on it. So it took me back to the original ordering it was in. I believe I have distance here. Now distance does calculate, but it totally depends on verifying it with the Postal Service. If we don't verify it, maybe it's entered incorrectly by the realtor or whatnot, you'll see a 0. But the distance that was calculated, that's 0.1 miles from the subject, and it's going to go farther away the lower we go down. Now what you'll want to do on this page, the whole point, is you're going to pick the comps you want to use for the report. The 42 solds, that's going to be used for regression and match pair analysis, however many solds are on here. And when we actually give you extraction and allocation adjustments, we only use the subject and the comps you pick here. So for example, if I pick these 4 here, these 4 and the subject, that's what's going to be used to derive the allocation and extraction support. Now I believe I already have some picked out. Okay, let me go ahead and search for those. And quick tip, you can hit Control F and find on your keyboard. You'll have a little pop-up box here. You just type in the street number of what you're looking for, go up or down. And if it's on this page here, it will highlight it in orange. So I might have kicked this one out. I did change the criteria earlier, so let me look for the next one. Okay, so we're just going to pick some different ones. Doesn't matter, they were just kind of dummy streets or comps, so to speak. So I'm going to go through here and let's look and see. So 5750. So this is a good opportunity to go back and change my site highest to lowest or vice versa, so I can pick some pretty good ones. So these are pretty on par. My subject, I believe, is only 10 years old, and that GLA a little bit high, but that's okay. Of course, A is active, S is sold. So you'll just go through here and pick some comps. Okay, so I just got those 3 sold, which works for me. Of course, you guys will probably spend a little more time on this than me for demonstration purposes. You get the idea. You can scroll through here and move it around, pick the comps you want to use. Now the counter tells you have 3 sold. For ACI, you can select, I think, up to 15 in total. So if you want to grab more than that, just go through here and click on them. If you need actives, just click on them as well. We're going to go ahead and click Next. Now what we're doing is we're taking the 3 comps I chose for the report, and we're going to now verify what MLS reports against public and peer. So this last page here is indicated in blue. It's side-by-side tab. This pop-up box is a discrepancy. It's telling me for 2024 limestone for age, my MLS is saying it's 9 years old, public says 10, peer says 9. So peer averagely looks like they're going with what MLS says. So what you do is you use these top boxes to scroll through each discrepancy individually, meaning if there's another one, maybe it's for site or for a different street, You can use the top ones to go through them individually. If you don't, let's say if there's any more discrepancies, you just want Genie to fill it all in with public, you can click on the bottom boxes. So for me, I'm going to go with public. I'm just going to click the bottom one, and that disappears. Now on the left-hand side, you're going to have your subject address. When you scroll down, all this information entered, that once again comes from page 2 on ACI. You can actually modify this. Maybe you mistyped, you didn't catch it till now, or you need to add something here so it's in the report. You can change whatever you need to in these cells, and it will update this whole page. The way you navigate it, you grab this horizontal bar and scroll over. This is your first comp, 2024. There's the criteria entered for that comp. We'll scroll over. Second comp. Anything in pink is not an error. That just says we used public to verify that. Scroll over and there should be one more. And here is 5328 Lake Garden. You can scroll up and down to see everything. And the way you read the page is you go horizontally. So here, go straight across. Here's site. So here's my subject site, and then if I look straight over, here's site for this address here. So what you'll ideally do is you would want to look through here, correct anything first before you do anything else. If you make any changes, that will update the whole page, that will change any adjustments if they were affected by that change. Any of the support will be updated. Now if you're going through here and let's say for whatever reason public and MLS and peer, none of them had anything to report. Maybe for this comp here, for age, it's blank. It's going to be highlighted yellow. What you'll do is you'll retrieve that age for this comp via whatever method you typically would. Just put it in here, click enter, and it's going to take away the little yellow box and it's going to update it. There's some information we have to have, meaning age, GLA site, as far as adjustments. So if we can't find it, it'll just be blank and we'll highlight it yellow telling you to correct it. Now you're going to notice in the middle here you're going to have 4 column headers: match pair, allocation, extraction, regression. Grab this over a little bit. These column headers are going to tell you the type of adjustments Genie is providing you with. And very simply, for example, this age one here, if you look straight across, 5,400 lookup, that's extraction. Then you have 457 based on regression. Now regression will run with the amount of solds we had. As far as its accuracy, probably not so much. Regression needs quite a few solds to run. It will produce an adjustment, but use caution as far as selecting it. What you can do is when you look through here, anything negative means it produced a negative adjustment. So obviously you're not going to want a negative $227 bath adjustment. All these tabs you can actually click on. Once you get to this blue tab here, side by side, if you want more information on the adjustments you see, you just click on the corresponding tab. So for age, we know this is 54. For extraction, we will just go over here and click on extraction. And when we scroll down, you're going to have the market-driven age adjustment, and it's just going to be broken down in this middle part here. Now it tells you if you click on the adjustment, that's the adjustment it will make per comp. And this will actually be in the work file. This entire page that has information will be in there for you. Any forecasting adjustments, that's an example. You can click on allocation. This is a full breakdown. This here is the total replacement cost. The 62% is what we contributed towards GLA. So all we do is we take the 62, put it into the average dollar per square foot, which is based on the comps you pick for the report. And that's why we saw a $45 per square foot GLA adjustment. Same thing with garage. It's going to be $2,600 per space. When you scroll down, you'll have the full breakdown for bath, half bath, heating and cooling. Just scroll over and it tells you the value, of course, to adjust. So this is just an example. I'll show you guys what it looks like once it's downloaded. We're going to go back over to side by side, which is the adjustment grid, and we will click on some adjustments briefly. Okay, now repairs, that's not working right now, but what it does when you click on it, if you have any repair information you need to indicate for the subject, maybe you know it needs an AC repair, not the full amount, maybe just partial update, you can define a percentage, it'll give you a value. You can write commentary based on any kind of repair information you note, You'll click Save, and then in the narrator addendum that will work soon, there will be a section for any repair information you enter. Now this is being beta tested along with the narrator, so you guys won't see this quite yet. Okay, so when you scroll down, you can click on any of the adjustments you want. You do not have to use all of them. Genie will give you the support for all of the adjustments based on all 4 methods. Whether or not you want them in the report, you'll still have the support. So I'm not going to make an age adjustment. I just don't click on it if I don't want the adjustment. If I do, let's say I want GLA, there's $45 per square foot based on allocation, $39 extraction, and regression comes in pretty low at 15. These are pretty even, which is good. They should be pretty similar. I'm going to go ahead and go with 39. It's going to turn blue, and straight across from each comp, you'll have the adjustment. So that's per square foot. Of course, this one was, my subject was smaller, definitely, than a comp I chose, so there's the value. And then go straight across. Here's my second comp, 2080, and here's the adjustment. So the adjustments you click on, we will actually make the adjustment to and put in the grid. The ones you don't click on will give you the support, but they won't show up in the report. So if I want the garage space, I can click 2600, and that probably will make an adjustment to garage space if there is a difference. Those both have 2, 2, 2, and there's one that had a carport. You'll just go down. Now, covered patio and fence, we will give you an adjustment only for allocation. We do get that information based on buildingcost.net. But even if you click on them, we don't actually put the adjustment in the report because you'll see it's blank. Most MLSs don't clearly identify if the comp has a patio or a fence. So you can click on them. It's not going to do anything, but you'll still have the support in the allocation PDF, and you can go back and make your own. Alright, so that's the gist of this page. It's very easy to use. You guys only see about 3 pages. What we'll do now is we'll go ahead and export. I clicked on the comps I want to use. I clicked on the adjustments I want in the report. Now I'm going to click Export to Report. It's going to give me a preparing report. You're going to just sit here and let this load. It may take 1 second. Alright, so this land value box tells you, okay, Genie derived this land value based on allocation, this on extraction, this regression. What you'll do is you'll pick whichever land value you want to use. If you don't want to use any, you'll click None. Now, whatever you click here goes into the opinion of site value and cost approach. Me, don't really matter. I'm not actually using this as a live report. I'm just going to click on allocation and click Next. You'll have a load screen here. It's going to export it to the report. And this is where we just let it sit here. ACI should take over in a second. Okay, so this pop-up box kind of moves quickly. It's asking if your report exported correctly. We actually need to ignore this. Don't do anything once you see this. All we do is go back down here, click on ACI, and you'll have a new pop-up box. It tells you Appraiser Genie was successfully imported. You'll click OK. Now, this right here, we're trying to work with ACI. The way it's exported as far as the MLS acronym is, it exports it pretty large, as you see why it's red. It's correct information. It's just a little bit big for their field. I'm not sure what they're doing there. I had this set as a default for verification source. I told Genie just put MLS comma assessor and then pull the doc number, which is why you see that here. So this will vary depending on how you have it in the Genie defaults. Down here under porch, patio, and deck, I didn't want that entered because I didn't have the information, so I left it blank. And then blank row 2, I left it blank as well because I wanted to determine that later. You'll have your 1004MC filled out as well. Any check boxes, they're also checked. This is an example of a comment that we will put in the report automatically. You can modify it, do what you need to. Cost approach will be entered down here as well. And of course we don't do the as is, you guys will enter that. And there's an example of another comment as well. So we'll go back here. Excuse me, back here. And there's a couple things we do fill out on page 1. Not much. We do the 1 unit housing trends, the 1 unit housing price and age, and then we usually do most of this public record information as well. That should populate for you. And you'll notice most of this we don't actually touch. So that's why you can have all this filled out if you want to, but this right here is pretty much basically what I had in there initially. Now the bulk of what we do is not located in ACI. It's actually in your documents folder. So you'll have a folder. All you're going to do is click on the folder. We want to go to documents. You'll have a folder created for you labeled Appraiser Genie. We'll double click it. And every report you run in 2017 with Genie will be in this folder, so we double click that as well. And all you're going to do is look for the subject address. So I've ran this multiple times, so it's just going to give me an incremented number at the end, and just look for the date modified here. Double click it. You're going to have some graphs that do display by default, up to you whether or not you want to actually use them. And one more time we'll click into work file. And all of these include the graphs and all of the tabs that were located at the top of Genie. They're now converted into a PDF, so we can click on allocation and it opened in another monitor for me, but you'll see this is exactly like the allocation tab that we saw in Genie. All we did is convert it to a PDF and put it on your computer for every report. So there's one. You can click on any of these that you'd like to see. Cost approach, based on what buildingcost.net returns to us. And the cool thing is they will give you a full breakdown on material, labor, equipment, total costs, and it tells you pretty much everything. Exterior finish, doors, windows, all that's in here. And you'll have your cost approach down here as well. Let's see how the graphs look. Sometimes the graphs are hit or miss, depends on how much data you import, but this is an example of just one. Regression will actually provide a PDF, and you can modify this. This is how it exports, but you can change the PDF application you open it with. You can modify this, but what it does is it shows you the statistics for regression. So this right here, we don't explain this, meaning we'll give you the regression write-up, tell you how it was provided, but we don't explain p-value, t-stat, and I don't recommend, if you don't understand this here, I probably wouldn't recommend regression, because if you can't explain this, then there's really not a point to it. But it does give you all of the documentation for it, what was used, and then every address that was used in regression is populated below. So it'll tell you exactly what you used when you derived regression if you use it. There's quite a few PDFs in here. Property report. So a property report is just going to tell you, okay, you pick this comp here, here's your legal information, here's your land value, here's what you used in Genie, here's what the discrepancies were, and if there's any previous sales history, it just pulls it down here as well. And that'll just be in there for each comp you pick. And that's pretty much it. It's very easy to use. As you saw, it didn't even take me probably 30 minutes. I had to explain a couple things just so you know how to use it, but it's really quick software. I'll make sure to unmute anyone. If anyone wants to stick around, ask me any questions, I'd be happy to help you guys. So go ahead if anyone has anything.
Hi. Yes, I tried to do a report. I did the export from the MLS, but then when I went to Appraiser Genie, it came up with no data. Do I have to save it besides exporting it?
Yes, what you'll do is you'll log into your MLS. There should be a button or a drop down that says export. Which MLS do you use? Because I can probably figure out how to do it if you tell me. Trend?
Trend. Yes, in Philadelphia.
Okay. Do you know if is Trend matrix based or?
I think it does say. I do see matrix pop up. Yeah.
Okay, if it says matrix, then what you'll do, because that's 95% of the search engine that most MLSs use, is like Matrix or Paragon, one of the two. But matrix, after you do your search, you should be taken to a drop-down box, and you should have a Genie template created in there. You have to change it to Appraiser Genie, then you click export, and then all you do is save it to your computer.
Okay. Do I have to save a particular folder or a name or?
Oh no, definitely not. The whole point of saving it is so you can upload it later, meaning put it on your desktop, put it in a documents folder. It doesn't matter where you put it, you're just going to have to remember where it is to upload it later. So it doesn't matter.
Okay.
Like me
Okay, so
personally, I just put it in a folder right here, and that's just where I want it, so I know where it goes.
okay. So it's export, and then you have to save it.
You save it, then you got to go into ACI and launch it, because you can't upload the file into Genie until you've already launched it from ACI like I did earlier.
Okay.
If
Okay. I'll try that.
Okay, if you need further clarification, you can call us. Don't worry. You can give us a phone call at 325-455-7890, and we can walk you through it, because I don't have a way to explain the MLS part. That's the only thing I can't clearly go over since they're so different, but we know them pretty well around here. You can just give us a call.
Okay. Okay. And one report I did get working. It filled in the gray boxes under the subject on the sales grid.
Mm-hmm.
Those boxes are supposed to be left blank. Do I have to just delete that then, or is that something that's
What's the field you're referring to? Can you tell me where on the report?
in the sales grid, in the subject section, subject grid?
Uh-huh.
The data sources, verification source, sales, financing concessions, date of sale, time, the boxes that are grayed out from the 1004.
Okay. I got that, but I missed your question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, those boxes are supposed to be left blank, but it was filling them in.
Oh, okay, I gotcha. Do you see what, the only thing that should be filling in is what you see on my screen, because I left everything completely blank. Same thing with the 1004. Make sure, and I recommend doing it this way, because ACI does not let us overwrite, and sometimes if there is information in the field that are trying to put it behind it or do weird things, so that's why I left everything pretty much blank. That way you guys can visually see what exactly we do populate for you. Try leaving it blank next time.
Mm-hmm.
And if there's still some kind of weird occurrence, then let us know, because I haven't had that issue, as you see. I'm not sure what's occurring.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, they were blank because they're grayed out and nothing goes in them. But
okay, if it's grayed out, there shouldn't be any way to put something in the field, though, even upon exporting. So I would recommend giving our support line a call, because I have no idea how that could even happen, especially if it's a grayed out field. There would be no way to transfer it back into the report.
Okay.
That's a new one. Never heard that before, so.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't gotten to the report where I'm importing the graphs yet or not, but they're saved as PDFs and they have to be changed then to images to be put into the report, the graphs and the other work file.
Yes, they're saved as a PDF. You can change them to an image. You would have to upload them to ACI. I think you can do it. Let me look and see.
Right. Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
I think you can do it from one of these drop-down boxes where you don't have to do it right here.
That's right. Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yes, sir.
Alrighty. Thank you.
You're welcome. Anyone else have any questions today?
Yeah, I have a question.
Okay.
It's Rick. And you may not know the answer. On the new narration part that's going to be coming in, a lot of times when we're looking at, we may pick some comps and the Genie puts it into the grid, but after we look at it and everything, we decide that's really not a good comparable, so we may eliminate it off our grid. But it looks like the narrative is going to be put into those pages of ones we picked. Is there going to be any way we could update it on if we eliminated any particular comparable?
You can technically. The narrator is going to be editable, meaning it's going to look like a Word doc, so you can modify it.
Okay.
You don't even have to use everything that's going to be in the narrator. If you find there's certain things that don't benefit you or whatever the case is, you want to tailor it, you can do that in the defaults, but you can just copy and paste or change it once it's exported.
Okay. The next question is on the energy efficient. For some reason, when it comes into, and maybe it's something on the setup I have, it says standard, but on my reports when I run Mishmo, it kicks it back where I got to change standard to none. And so I don't know if that's just something I got to talk with ACI about, or has anybody else had that problem with ACI on the energy efficient?
Well, what are you wanting it to say? None by default or standard?
Well, it's defaults coming in putting standard,
Right.
and then when I run my compliance, it's flagging it where I have to change it to none.
Okay. Okay. Yes, that would be their UAD checker that's built into their software. But what you could do, if you don't want to have to deal with that, because I think they're going to flag that period, in your defaults, you can type in whatever you want it to say. Instead of it exporting standard and then it reverts it to none, you could just put none, and that's what it is saying. That's what I would do.
Okay. Okay. On the new narrator, it looks like you're adding quite a few fields, which looks great. Mm-hmm. Are you going to put recommended verbiage in those?
Yes. A lot of it's already pre-defined. It's already actually, we made it to have the layout that the appraiser uses here. But what we wanted you to do is to see kind of what he does and then tailor it from there. So yeah, so we'll have a lot of verbiage already in there from Fannie Mae's UAD guidelines, stuff he puts in there, and what you'll do is you'll go in your defaults and change it based on how you want to see the layout. By no means do you have to use ours. It's just kind of giving you guys a way to define how you want it.
Yeah. Now, one last question on the queue and condition and quality. Mm-hmm. Are you looking at eventually trying to give some type of a recommended range? Based off the big data?
Yeah, well, I love big data. I'm an IT major, so trust me, I understand the capabilities, and I've already gone around and around with appraisers around here because I think it can be done. But as far as accessing that data or having a way to do it, I don't know how soon that will be. I feel like quality and condition can be determined, but it would require pictures, recent pictures, interior pictures, things that are updated. And you guys know the issue in which you can't even rely on the MLS to begin with, let alone public records. So we would need a way where we could aggregate and then kind of churn out a quality rating based on different factors. So right now, I don't think it's on the radar. Maybe someday.
Something like that, because a lot of times if you look on the tax rolls, at least some of the ones I deal with, it'll say good, average, something like that. So and that may not be nationwide.
Well, I think, I don't think it is nationwide, but I believe, I don't know if I'm right or not. Does the MLS actually put a Q or C rating in there for you?
No, it'd be on the county tax rolls.
I guess there'd be a way to just use what they say, but I mean, at that point, you still would have to determine if it's accurate or not. So I don't know. It's too subjective. The industry is way too subjective.
I agree, and that's something that we can work around on that because we're having to deal with that anyway. So
right. And I don't consider granting an upgrade anymore, but you know.
It's not. It's not.
So there you go, subjective. I wouldn't consider it an upgrade anymore, but you have different parts of the nation that that is an upgrade for them, or fireplaces, or whatever it is. But we have the intelligence. It's just getting it put together is the kind of thing that hopefully, even if it's not us, somebody will find a way to kind of bring that to you guys hopefully soon.
Okay. Now one last question here. I know I said one last.
It's okay.
In the future, are you looking at maybe trying to incorporate, I think with Total, they have a program within, I guess, their appraisal software for inspection, where you can be, so you put it on your tablet, as you're going through the house, you're clicking note all of everything, and so it's putting all your data into a inspection.
From what I know, possibly. The only thing I know is we have a Genie app that we're finalizing. We want to get it out pretty soon, and I know there's capabilities within that I've heard of, but I don't have a time frame, and I can't confirm that, to be honest. I haven't been told anything, so I just know it's a possibility.
Okay, and you probably don't know this question, which is that Genie app, is that going to be an additional charge or worked in within the program?
No, I do know that. I'm one of the managers, so I know all that information. Yes, it will be free. If you use
Okay,
Genie, you get it free, and it will be pretty cool. You can use it in the field, and it actually will have a sketch capability or a measuring capability where you can measure the house. You pretty much point it at a screen, and it measures it, some kind of infrared
ooh,
technology. So, yeah, that'd
oh,
be pretty cool. That would be a big bonus for me as far as, Genie already does way more, as you already saw, than any competitor, even
oh
combined.
yes, yeah,
So,
yeah, because yesterday I did a house that three of the sides had bushes and trees. You couldn't even get close to the house. So this infrared thing may be good.
yeah, it's pretty neat. We have had it for a while. It's just been on the back burner because we were so anxious to get integrated with ACI
Oh, I
and
agree.
appraise it. So, but we're here
I
now.
agree. I agree. I agree. And I know that you'll be developing this as moving forward
Yes,
even more.
definitely. Yes, sir. There's
Thank.
a lot of changes coming, a lot of new features, a lot of benefits, and we definitely aren't raising the price. So you'll get all this for unlimited $69 a month if you choose to go that route, of course. And anyone else who is a new user and has never experienced it, you guys get 10 free. So there's no
Yeah.
downside. You'll have a learning curve, but like I said, I flew through it. Yes, I've used it probably a million times, but that's why we give you webinars every week, training, and it's definitely worth it.
Okay. Thanks.
You're welcome. For everyone else who's still in here, thank you guys. I will make sure to convert this video and put it on our website, appraisergenie.com. Click on the training tab and it should be on there within a couple of hours. And if you guys want to join a future one, we will host another one next Friday, same time, 4 to 5 Central. No one else have any questions? All right, well, thank you guys. You guys have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too.
Of course. Bye-bye.